Hi everybody. Welcome to Draw With Me Kids Edition, episode 33. Skulls, skeletons, and we're going to do some mummies too. Looks like I'm all alone again. What was that?
Hi everybody! Welcome to Draw With Me Kids Edition.
I've got something cool here to show you guys before we start showing last week's pictures. This is going to be November's coloring page for my patrons over at patreon.com. So it's a little poppy and a tribute for Remembrance Day on November 11th. So this is going to be available on patreon.com for November.
Remembrance Day.
Yeah. But last week, we're still in Halloween mode, right?
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. So what we did was, Sophia taught us how to do a witch hat. And I talked a little bit more about placing things on your head and we got a great question about placing jewelry and items on characters' necks. So this character actually is a little witch I did last year for Inktober. And I did it when I was in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
And
That's in the Netherlands.
That's in the Netherlands, and it was my first trip out of North America, actually.
Yeah.
And I was inspired by them riding their bikes all the time. But this is another example of a witch's hat, and I tied it to her head to make it stay on. We have Miss Rainbow's Mimi the Witch. Mimi the Witchy. And her kitty. And then we have the little sketches that I was doing over in the corner on traditional media. Hello! How are you today, Em? So today we're going to talk about the base structure of the body, skeletons and skulls.
And mummies.
And then we're going to add some little wrappings on there to make
Gotta
mummies
go
if you want to.
split screen mode.
So why don't you start off with the bones then, Sophie? Show us how you did those, Miss Rainbows.
What I did was wherever I wanted the top of my bone, I drew a little heart. Then right about here, you can see on my page, draw the lines.
Oh, boo, Grandpa. Boo, boo. That's okay. Even if you wanted to send them in as sketches, we like showing those too. I didn't really do a lot of color in mine only because I was just using two colors.
Next, wherever you want the end of your bone, you're going to extend your line and then draw another heart.
Oh my goodness. A skeleton of jokes. I don't think we're ready for this. As long as you guys aren't digging too deep for these things.
You're wrapping my head in jokes.
Oh. Don't cry. It's only a joke, Grandpa. All right. So that's how you draw a bone. That's a really
how you draw a mummy
simple bone.
wrap.
Well, we'll get to the mummy wrap. Oh, you're going to put the mummy wrap on the bone right now? Because we could do that later.
No, what to?
You want to do it now. She wants to do the mummy wrap now, so go for it.
So.
And then she'll wrap her thing up. And
I
I'm
already
gonna
used the wrapping pen.
Oh.
Draw the shape that you want your wrap to be.
I'm gonna put it on my bone. Okay.
Then draw a line that goes in the same way next to it. Don't.
Oh, you're
connect
drawing a
the
mummy
side.
wrap. Okay.
Then draw 3 little triangles to connect. And if you want to make it kind of twisty, twirly, fluttery, erase a small bit.
It's like a ribbon too. You could use this for ribbons too.
And you're gonna connect one corner. Like, if you can imagine like a rectangle.
To be honest. I can't even say it. I can't even, to be honest. I have quite a few puns. My gosh. That actually we know. We know. All right. I like your twist. So those are some of the cool little things that might come in handy in what you're drawing today. I'm going to start right off with my very first trivia question as we get ready to do skulls and bones and other mummy stuff to add to the mummy run. We're not going to get any work done today, are we? We're having too much fun.
That's not the carry on these puns.
No. Okay, so my first trivia question, how many bones are there in the human body? More than 50? Actually, 50, 100, or 200. Approximate. We're rounding here.
Rounding up. Rounding down.
Yeah. Within 10 or 20. Okay, there we go. So, while we're getting that ready, so how many bones are there in the human body? 50, 100, 200. That's approximate. Stop trying to tickle my funny bone. I think we're far beyond that. All right, so while you're thinking of what the answer is, we've got a 213. We have 206. Do you have a guess, Miss Rufus?
I know what it is.
Oh, you do know what it is?
Yeah.
Did I ask you this already?
No.
Well, if you know what it is, tell us.
I believe, from what I know, it is 206.
It is 206 on the nose. Oh, well, actually, not on the nose because it's made of cartilage, not bone. Oh. So, as always, with the skull, we're going to start with the circle. So, this is going to be really familiar stuff if you remember doing faces with us or remember doing figures with us. Because it all is going to come down to the same basic shapes that we would use to do face structure. Because, as you all know, we have skeletons or underneath our bones underneath in our bodies, which helps to control, make sure our body doesn't flop all over the place. And as an artist, that's really important because it can help teach us how aspects of the face that we should have in place because of the bone structure underneath. Posing. You can't sort of twist an arm around unless somebody's really, really flexible. But you can't bend it here because there's a bone. It's going to prevent that. So this is kind of a cool lesson. This is a very important sort of art jam that we're doing because in any art school that you do, this is going to be one of those things you learn.
If our bodies were wiggly, we would all be like we would all be wiggly, kind of like the balloons. Things at a car sale.
You like the balloons at the car sale.
When I draw that here. There, car sales.
A car sales balloon. Look at her. So out of the 206 bones that are in the human body, how many of those are in your skull? Since we're drawing skulls at the moment. So, and while you're thinking about that, actually, I'll give you a couple of guesses. 3, 10, or 20. So it's a roundabout. If you know the exact number, by all means. So I do my map just like we have done in our faces and our bodies. Our circle and then a little square or rectangle. I don't do a triangle in this one because then you sort of lose a really good part of the structure of the jaw. So for this purpose, I'm doing this. you pick out 2 very big circles at the halfway part. We're doing from the front, but then I'll show you from the side too. This is going to be a little... You know, from the front? This is going to be a little bit of a cartoony one, but you can go back in and put a lot more details. Em has got a guess of 23. Here's somebody who is very good at our trivia. Yeah, it's pretty darn close, Em. I would give it to you. So you can fill those in, black them out, because those would be the eye sockets. And if you feel in your own face, you can sort of feel the edge of the eye sockets that we're doing, which is actually a lot bigger than your eyes, which is kind of cool. And then you sort of feel your cheekbone structure in there. Don't go too crazy in poking your own eyes around there, because it can hurt. Trust me, I've done it. Okay, and then at about the halfway point, you're going to do a bit of a triangle here, which you can modify, if you'd like, to be more like an upside down heart or a spade. And that's the nasal cavity. And then, of course, very easy. This is a really, really easy way of doing the skull. Oops. I'm having trouble with my digital here. So what I like to do with this part is first make a rectangle. So it looks like they almost have a harmonica. The answer, by the way, is 22 for this skull. So,
wow, and I thought it was only 3.
You thought it was only 3? The skull is really awesome in that you have several different plates of bone in your skull that are all separate and very malleable when you're a child, and when you're a toddler it starts to harden up and become sort of fused together, but there's still separate bone plates, which is kind of cool. So one of the things I like to make sure my skulls have, because then we're missing sort of some of the details of it, is the cheekbone or cheekbone area. So I put 2 little triangles on the side and I erase in there. And I draw 2 triangles up here. I'm really having trouble with my sensitivity.
Like ears, but really low.
That's okay. They kind of are a little bit like ears. So I'm gonna have to shrink that down so it doesn't. My sensitivity is going wild on my thing. My digital today, so that's why Sophia's not on it, is because it's just causing some problems. So there's that grin, and then you can start adding little details on the side to sort of get the extra ridges of the bone. This is a really simple way to do skulls, and you can sort of take it even further and get a little bit more particular on where you go with some of these, because here, again with my sensitivity here you would have, oh, I finally have the display on, there we go. It's you in 20 years. I don't think so. Give yourself a little bit more time there, Grandpa. So kind of the cheekbone is really interesting because it's really hollow in here. So all this darkness is just to sort of suggest that it falls back in, which is kind of cool. So that's just a really simple skull that you can do.
I put hair on my skull.
Did you put hair on your skull? You can do anything you want with your skull. You could, if you want to have some glowing eyes or something, eyeballs in there, you can add little circles inside and give it a spooky look. You could do whatever you want to add things. I like to add little cracks, because you can see that, where the plates have joined. But that's a really simple way of doing a skull. If you're doing one from the side, sort of very similar, but the cool thing I find, the side skull. And this can help you do your faces too, especially if you want to do some more realism to it. Do your circle first. And have your jaw come in with a bit of an angle.
And I might even have hair.
Might even have hair. And that kind of gives that plane of where the nose is going to be. It's kind of a weird shape. This is a bit of a rectangle with a obtuse angle at the back.
Obtuse.
Obtuse.
You know my trick to remember obtuse and acute angles?
What is your trick for obtuse and acute angles?
My teacher taught me this. When you write obtuse and acute, my teacher likes to use cute. And acute is cute and tiny.
Oh, I'm having trouble with this. So, cute and tiny to make
acute. So it's smaller than a right angle.
Okay.
Obtuse. She imagines that the O is a big belly. It's big.
Like that? Oops, obtuse. Like that. Math 101. Okay. But seriously. So the side perspective is you'll have the big eye, and you can shape that. Always think when you're making skulls that the eyes are always bigger, or the eye sockets are always bigger than you expect. But you can also do them instead of circles, you can do them as a little bit more of a square, rounded square. I'm sort of having a weird 3D moment here. That's okay. So if this were a side, it'd sort of do that.
You have to have another pun. Hold on. You
have to have more puns?
Position your eyes on your head of your skull.
What is happening here? So one of the things with the skull bones is that you sort of have the jaw do a bit like that, where the teeth are going to connect. This is me improvising. So you'd have that gap there. So this is my cartoony side perspective. But you can get a little bit more. I shouldn't have that eye there. That just doesn't work with the perspective. But you'd have ridge there. You'd have sort of the cranial area is always bigger than you think. I should have made that a little bit bigger. So yeah, that's the basis of drawing skulls. Skeletons are very similar, and if you know you have 26 skull bones in your body, or 26.
22.
206 bones in your body. That was pretty humorous. Oh no. Guys are not leaving me a leg to stand on. She's thinking. I'm worried. I'm worried when she's thinking. So it's kind of, you can kind of change different features. You can make this a little more hollow. Probably on a real skull, it would be back a little bit.
It's hollow. It's Halloween.
Oh, no.
I did it.
Because you'd still have that form of where your cartilage of your nose is. Yeah, so next part we're going to go on to, now that we're a head, or have two heads. That was a stretch, sorry. That was a stretch. Is when you're doing a skeleton, you're taking away...
We're going to do mummies too, and it's almost half an hour.
Oh my gosh, it is almost half an hour. Well, guess what? This is where we're going to do a little bit of the mummies part 2. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So for your skeleton...
Which one are we doing next?
Which one are we doing next? We're going to start with the skeleton. Because, like our...
That was positively bad.
She started, and I won't be able to stop her. That's okay. So for like every figure that we've start, I like starting with the kidney bean for cartoon. You don't have to. But as I sort of mentioned with kidney bean, it's made up of two shapes. It's made up of the rib cage, which is sort of goes like this from the side as I'm doing a 3/4 perspective. So you can find a rib cage very easily. And the pelvic bone area and connecting them. So this is like a very, I'm going to change this guy so he's a little less off kilter. So you just make a half circle. It's a little tiny oval perspective in there to give you that pelvic bone shape. Oh no, you're just rattling me up. I splashed myself. So just simply put, you can put in your ribs just like that. You can follow your circle base to create sort of a pelvic-like shape, which is a little bit like almost a pair of underwear. Really, it is. Because where does the underwear go on? Your pelvic area. Your butt. You're not even trying. She's not even trying. Sophie's not even trying.
I'm thinking.
Oh, she is thinking. She's into this pun war. And then where you would put the legs, so you normally have your...
I like listening to them. I like listening to lessons.
You like
It's not
listening?
even a pun.
You're actually saying you like listening.
Yeah.
So where you would draw the lines of your legs, you would just start drawing the bone shape, similar to what Miss Rainbows taught us earlier. And do a triangle for the feet to contain all those bones. And just, I find for cartoon ones anyway, you don't have to get too crazy on the hundreds, it's not hundreds, but it's a lot of bones in the feet. So I just sort of give the impression of them. And because these two connect, actually more of a rounded square with the vertebrae, you can sort of try to show them loosely through. Get your shoulder blades. Your collarbones.
What I'm about to say is pretty grave.
No. And then you can sort of add your skull up on top. This is just going to be a really simple guy.
It's also very hydraulic. Hydraulic.
And then you can have that skull shape on top. Oh, did I forget this guy's arms? Honestly. So one of the things that you have to remember with your arms, you could totally, because it's a cartoon in this case, you could totally leave the arms in single bones, but here you'd really have two bones, making your forearm. This is just a super quick sketch of a skeleton. So here, hands. I do a little box that it's a rectangle or a square, but I open it up, or it's actually more like a trapezoid. That's the word I was trying to find. It opens up there. And then you can add the bones again, just like the feet. That's my super quick skeleton.
Mommy,
So how do we turn this guy into a mummy?
We're almost finished.
You're almost
You've got
finished.
to be pumpkidding me.
Pump kidding you. Why can't we just leave these alone? Just keep cutting into my time with these buns. And we need to carve out some space. All right.
Enough. You gotta stem out your ways of punning.
So, for a mummy, you would draw a very similar shape. You could do a similar figure as a person. And I'm going to do this one really quick because I did promise Miss Rainbows that I would do a mummy. So you'd start with your figure shape. And one of the things that you want to do, sort of like our clothing lesson that we talked about a bit, is actually I won't do that with your arms. Just put the hand there. So as we did with our clothing lesson, once we have our body shape done, you can start wrapping your body. Oh no, you don't have the guts to deal with this. Well, we are wrapping things up, so quite literally.
I already used the wrapping pun on it.
Dude, so have I. I went back. So what you want to think about for your mummy is that most of this creature or this person,
guys,
Sophie's got a real
she
talk.
Went back.
And when you're putting clothes on or mummy wrappings on your characters, like we love Gauze. Gauze is one of our favorite characters. He's a mummy. But you wrap it around your body form with just a little bit of extra space, kind of like we talked about with the neck. You think about where some of these wraps would go. Maybe your mummy, especially after we've toilet papered you, Grandpa. It's true. Maybe your mummy has some wrappings that are a little bit loose and you can hang them a little bit lower. But what you want to try and think about is the wrappings overlapping each other, overlapping the body that you're trying to cover. Sorry, my big squeaky chair. That's going to be the next thing I am going to replace in here, I think. Is my chair. And you just sort of follow along to give the idea of the form that you have underneath. So if you're trying to think three-dimensional for my older artists, wrap it around curve of the shape. And for some of my younger artists, it's okay if you just want to do something that's a little straighter. Like you just want to do this kind of mummy wrap. That's okay. That gives the impression of a mummy wrap. But when you want to get a little bit more
Hi, everyone.
Definition, you can start adding that mommy and mummy. Too cool. Oh no, very pyramidal. I think we've got the point. No. So that's sort of what you do for a mummy. Does that help you, Miss Rainbows? Because you were the one who had wanted the mummy question. Does that help you do a mummy?
Yeah.
If you guys have an idea of what you guys want to do in November, let us know in the comments below. Send us a message, and we want to see what you guys have been drawing. So send those to us too.
Bye, Grandma. Bye, Grandma.
We'll see you guys next week.
Talk soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.